Hello everyone, I just wanted to quickly introduce to you the inspiration for our next project. This is a lithograph, which is a print by an artist named Pablo Picasso. He was a Spanish artist in the early 1900s and he created this piece, which is called Bouquet of Peace, to communicate to people hope and unity. So I've also included a video below that you can click and check out some facts about Pablo Picasso, and then when you're ready, come back here and we'll start the project. Hello St. Amelia artists, welcome back to your virtual art class. Today we're going to be talking about Earth Day. Since it is the 20th, it is Earth Day. This is a time to celebrate our planet, celebrate all the plants that exist on it and animals and stuff like that. So I thought that we could do something that not only celebrates our planet, but also helps our planet. So we are going to be using recycled materials. That means materials that already exist. We're going to repurpose those things. We're going to use them for our next art project. So as far as the recycled materials go, what I'd like you to do is find some old magazines or newspapers sitting around, anything that has lots of colors. So if you can see, I picked out some patterns and colors that I really like. So since we're doing a spring theme, try and find as much colors as you can. If you don't have magazines, what you can do is you can just color different pieces of paper. You can use paint, and those will serve as our colored or patterned pieces of paper. So try and find lots of pattern, try and find lots of colors. The next thing you're gonna need is another piece of paper and a scrap piece of paper if you have one lying around, or just 2 pieces of paper will be fine. Then you're going to need a Sharpie marker or a black marker, something that's going to be permanent so that we can actually draw on top of our magazine texture, otherwise it'll just slide off. And then you're going to need a pair of scissors and some glue. We are going to be creating a collage. A collage is just a bunch of different repurposed materials glued on a piece of paper. So since we're doing our flowers, I'm going to show you 3 different flowers that we can create for our Picasso inspired bouquet of flowers. So the first one I'm going to show you is going to be a tulip. So what I want you to do is find your first piece of paper. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to cut a little square out of it, like the size of my palm. And I'm going to get all the words off of there. And to do my tulip, what I'd like you to do is just fold your little square in half, crease it, and then with your marker, you're going to go from the top, you're going to curve down and back up, and then you're going to make a backwards J. So we're coming down all the way to the bottom and in just like that. Keeping your little piece of paper folded, you are going to cut along that line as carefully as you can. Make sure you're cutting both sides of your paper at the same time so that we make a symmetrical tulip shape. Then you can open it up and you've got your tulip. So I'm going to place that on my picture. The next flower I want to show you is going to be a daisy. So this is one that you're going to have to just sort of draw out the best you can. I think I'll do it over my umbrellas. So a daisy shape just looks like this. You start from the middle, you curve out, and you come back in, you go out, you come back in, out, come back in, out, come back in, out, come back in. And you can do this the best you can. It's up to you how many petals you want to do, what shape you want to get. You can be very creative with this part. And you're going to place it on your paper. What I didn't mention before is that you can have a background color. So if you want to color in your piece of paper first, you can do any colors you like in the background. That part doesn't matter. I'm going to leave mine white so that my flowers are very visible to you. Another thing I want to talk to you about is we should be overlapping our flowers. So we don't want to just put them in a row next to each other. we want some to go over top of them, and you can kind of figure it out before you glue. So we're just placing the flowers right now, and then we'll glue later. So the last shape I want to show you is something that we did together when we were creating our snowflakes. So you can use a cup to trace out a circle on one of your magazine pieces of paper, or you can just kind of eyeball it, cut a little circle best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold that circle in half and fold it in half again. Crease it nice and good. And then on the crust of your pizza, just like how we did with our snowflakes, you're going to cut fringe. So that just means that we're cutting with our scissors, going a little bit into our pizza, but not all the way to the end. We don't want to create shreds, we just want to create fringe. So this is the last flower shape that I'm going to show you today. And then when you open it up, you've got a beautiful flower, looks almost like a marigold or something like that. So I'm going to continue cutting out my flowers, and then I will come back when I'm ready to glue. So here's what I'm really looking for, is I'm looking for a variety in shapes, textures, and colors. So variety just means that I have a lot of different shapes, textures, and colors. So if you look at this picture that I cut out, it's got a sort of scrubby texture to it. It looks a little rough. And this one looks like if you put your hand over it, it'd feel like really soft. And this one looks bubbly. I've also got lots of different cool colors, which would be my blues, my purples, and my greens. And I've got lots of warm colors, which is like my yellows, my reds, and my oranges. So show me variety, show me lots of different colors, textures, and shapes. Okay, so once you are done placing all of your different flowers onto your paper, what you can then do is you can start to glue. So you can use whatever kind of glue you've got. I actually decided to go with my glue stick option just because it will make less trouble for me. So on a scrap piece of paper, make sure you glue over top of that so that we're not making a mess on our table. And get all of the edges of your flower. Get the center, get the edges. Make sure that there's no spot on that flower that does not have glue on it. Once you place it, you can smooth it out with your hand. And if you have to hold it down, especially if you're using liquid glue, make sure you count to 5. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all my flowers down. So since we're overlapping our flowers, you want to make sure that the ones that are going behind others are glued down first so that all the different parts are secure on our paper. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to need to do is we are going to need to make stems for all of our different flowers in our bouquet. So you can use different shades of green. So I'm going to use this green. It's called celery. I'm going to use forest green too. Let's see what other kinds of greens I got here. If you don't have different kinds of greens, that's totally fine. And then go ahead and start with your flowers on the bottom and draw a line coming all the way from the bottom of the flower and almost to the bottom of your page. You can bend the flower stems too, so that they all kind of come together at the bottom. And another thing you're going to want to look out for is you're not going to overlap your pencil over top of any other petals. So this stem is going to go behind these 2 petals so that it looks like it's going behind that flower. And don't forget, since you overlapped some of your flowers, there might be some stems that we can't actually see connect to the flower, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. They're still there. Once you're done with that, if you want to add any petals, you can totally go ahead and do that. A petal shape is basically almost like a triangle, but it's curved on the side. So we go out and then we come back in. Looks like a teardrop or a raindrop. Okay, on to the next part. We are going to make a hand, just like in Picasso's painting. We're going to make a hand holding these flowers. So with your scrap piece of paper, you can color it in first with your skin color. And I actually don't have skin tones in my home right now, so I'm just gonna give myself some crazy old color. I'm gonna combine some blues and purples and make it look fantabulous. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to color my piece of paper, and if you have construction paper, you can use that instead. Okay, next we are going to trace out our hand. Doesn't matter which one. I have to do my right one because I am left-handed. And with your scissors, we're going to cut it out. Once again, nice and careful. And our very last part is we're going to glue down our hand. Okay, so throw out your scraps. And if you'd like to, since Mother's Day is coming up, you can write a really nice message to Mom telling her how much you appreciate her. I'm gonna write one to my mom. So you can also take a look at my playlist entitled More Elementary Projects, and I actually put some other recycling projects up on there so that if you want to do any other projects, you can think about our planet, think about how we can do better for our planet, and I will see you next week for our next project.